Hi, my name is Frida Weisel. I am a tour guide specializing in the insular Jewish Hasidic sections of Brooklyn, New York. And for this video today, I want to share with you a little pamphlet for a bride and groom, which I picked up in Borough Park, Brooklyn, I think in 2019. And I was working on a project that year and was looking for information on the marriage customs of the community. So I ended up scanning the whole thing, about 100 pages of that booklet. And I recently pulled it out and thought it was quite interesting. It is two parts. There are two things to this booklet. One is that it has all of these advertisements for a newly married couple that the couple might be buying, or the parents of the couple might be buying to outfit the couple for their new lives. For instance, furniture, dining room furniture is usually an expense that is going to involve furniture that's expected to last the couple for life. Ultra-Orthodox couples don't move around as much as modern couples, so their furniture is really supposed to last for a very, very long time. So this is one example. But besides for the advertisements of all sorts of products, like the Hasana Plaza, or this place is selling all sorts of dishes and cutlery and pots and pans, all of this called shtafit, cumulatively, the wigs or the bridal gown. And you can see here, you're not going to see a bride because that's not modest. It's just going to be lace or something like it, tulle. But besides for the part of it that's advertisement, there's also littered throughout this booklet little bits of advice for the bride and groom. So the sides of this book have all sorts of different sections: the silver, the halls, the catering, all things related to preparing for marriage. And then on the top, it says if it's for the chassan and kala, which means the bride and the groom, or it's going to be just for the bride or just for the groom. And these have little bits of messaging specifically to the bride and groom. And there's just something very innocent and almost feels like an old ethics book about the advice for marriage that's in this book. For instance, we enter marriage in order to give and not to take. Very sweet, very much assuming that everyone is a good person, and that if only you work and work and work, the marriage will be perfect. So there's a kind of concept of every marriage can work out if you only work hard enough on it, or almost every marriage. So this is a little story that says charity begins with compliments. So it's all about, this story here is, or a little essay is all about how it might be easy for us to part with our money, to give away our dollars. Oh, that we do very gladly, but giving away our compliments, that we have a harder time. And that's really the challenge, that if you can do that, then you will be guaranteed to have a happy marriage. Or this is another example of this: contain it, work on yourself, overcome it on yourself. Your feelings, there's this, your feelings are in the way of the happiness, and you just need to minimize it. So for instance, Rav Alia Lopian advised, if you are on the verge of anger, take half a cup of water in your mouth for a few minutes until you calm down. A few minutes is a long time, but you get the gist. This says, a happy marriage without a Rav, without a rabbi, is a fantasy. And this is not only a rabbi to ask questions, as in, are we allowed to do this or that? It's a rabbi to be a mentor, meaning a kind of a marriage counselor of sorts. This story is too complicated. There's too much yeshivishism for me to read it, but I like the title. Anyone can change. Again, the Top 10 commandments of marriage. These are the summary. Number 1, do not expect too much. Number 2, routines of life must continue. Wife must continue to cook meals no matter how angry she is. She stands at the gas range like the priest at the altar, and she's preparing a sacrifice. No matter what, the husband, the priest, is doing his work morning until evening, even if he's boiling mad at his priestess. Number 3, never let a quarrel continue. Even if it means going to Manhattan and buying your wife a $1,500 diamond that will give you 5 years, that will take you 5 years to pay up. Do it. No matter what, she will probably take the diamond and your marriage will be restored. Number 4, never mention the term divorce. Number 5, it is a matter of duty. It's not properly scanned. Once you have committed yourself, you have given to your word in the utmost holiness of being loyal to each other. Number 6, ignore, forget, and avoid mean words. In most cases, they are not meant seriously at all. Perhaps a few minutes later, the same partner that said the words that pained you, you will say words of kindness. Happy is the man who hears 100 evils pass by him. Number 7, never, God forbid, say I hate you. Number 8, you shall love your neighbor as yourself, applies especially to a spouse. Number 9, constantly guard your tongue. Talking too much nonsense all day will lower your spouse's respect for you. Always maintain your appearance, even in the house. Your main concern shouldn't be how you look in the street. It's your husband that counts. I thought this was for the wife, constantly talking nonsense. See, the wife is talking too much nonsense. It sounds very archaic. Number 10, you have no right to be arrogant. While marriage is not an equal partnership, a captain who tramples on his first mate is always asking for trouble. I guess that's the advice for the husband. Let's see, wedding experience. See all of these pictures. Don't tell your spouse about the time you failed your math test. Rebbe Victor Miller counseled wisely. Even if you're married a long time, it only reduces your spouse's respect for you. It's not healthy. Think of how the following comments make the other spouse feel. I can't believe it. I weigh a ton. I'm so dumb. Why is everyone else able to dash and I can't? I'm such a horrible housewife. No one wants to be my friend or study partner. I always lose things. Why do I always burn the food? By the way, don't make these kind of admissions to your mother-in-law or father-in-law either. They want to be proud of you, of their child-in-law, and think that you're wonderful. Meanwhile, writing a compliment is even more powerful than saying it. Leave nice notes for your spouses. That's very good advice. Texting during engagement can be hazardous. Look at the flowers. Look at these flowers. Nuts. All real flowers. So much, I guess we're in the catering section. Escorts is not about escorts. This escort story is about the escorts to in the wedding, the people who escort the bride and groom down the aisle. Building that lasts forever. Brothers and sisters, when you become part of your new family, you want to be friendly to everyone. But be aware, though, the brother-in-law and sister-in-law are part of the family, and it's natural to be comfortable with them, but they are still members of the opposite gender and thus require boundaries in your interactions with them. If each partner would try to be the best person he or she can be instead of wasting energy trying to make his or her spouse more like they are, everyone would gain. I am sorry. The 3 most important words uttered in any marriage are the precious, always welcome words. I am sorry. Learning how to apologize is an art. On and on and on this goes. Help! Marriage is like living on a luxury yacht. There are idyllic periods of cruising along the calm, beautiful ocean, watching clouds drift lazily across the deep blue sky. More often, however, the two-man crew must work to keep their yacht shape and are too busy to lie back and enjoy themselves. Other times, things are turbulent and must endure rough waters and stormy seas. At such times, they have to struggle together to save their small boat from sinking. Something that's very big in morality lessening in Orthodox, ultra-Orthodox culture is bad metaphors. A lot of bad metaphors everywhere. In our own secular culture these days, bad metaphors are also a very big commodity. It's a very metaphors, though, king for a day also is metaphor. Do you know how fish get caught? They open their mouths. Haha. So shut up. Surely you're planning to visit your sister before you go home. A perfect match. Okay, this I'm going to read to you. I once heard a father bless his own son who was about to be married. I bless you that you and your wife should always see each other with the eyes of a matchmaker. This reminds me, here I'm skipping to, this reminds me of the professional matchmaker who approached a young man and told him, I have a wonderful suggestion of a young lady who would make a fantastic wife for you. That sounds good, said the young man. Who is she? As soon as the matchmaker mentioned her name, the young man exclaimed, you must be making fun of me. Of course not, said the matchmaker defensively. What objections do you have? She's blind, said the fellow. That's a virtue, not a fault, said the matchmaker. She won't see what you are doing and how you look, so she won't have the complaints about you. If you fix or paint something and it's not a perfect job, she won't notice. But she's mute, said the young man. That's another virtue, argued the matchmaker. She won't say anything to you, and you won't have to listen to her talking nonsense. She certainly can't yell and scream at you. But she has an awful limp, said the young man. That's also a virtue, matchmaker explained. If you want to leave the home, she won't be able to run out to you. She's hunchback, complained the young man. You're not perfect either, said the matchmaker. No one is. You should really be able to tolerate one little fault, which is trivial complaint to all her virtues. All her nonsense that she would talk if she wasn't mute. Isn't it a nice thing when people are mute, especially women? There's something very specific. Exercise for marriage fitness. Exercise 1, dispense happiness. Exercise 2, extend a helping hand. Exercise 3, focus on a person's good qualities. Exercise 4, smile and be aware of facial expressions. Smile, be happy, present nicely. Again, this feels very dated and housewife role, and make sure not to make of yourself a nuisance. A perfect marriage is two imperfect people. A perfect marriage is two imperfect people who refuse to give up on each other. A successful marriage is the union of two great forgivers. That is true. Bending exercises. This is a little hard to translate. One of the miracles that took place in the temple was that when all the people stood in the courtyard, it was very crowded, without an inch to spare. But when it came time to bow down, there was enough room for everyone to do so comfortably. Rev. Zeb Zabori explained this simply. If everyone stands up for his rights, things are very crowded. When people are willing to bend and give way to others, there is enough room for everyone. This is, again, that kind of metaphoring, even though it doesn't exactly hold, because in reality, it's not exactly how it works. The first to apologize is the bravest, the first to forgive is the strongest, and the first to forget is the happiest. There's only one place you'll find a perfectly matched pair: in the shoe store. You cannot sit back and hope for a happy marriage. You have to create one. Opening milk containers is another story about she did it one way and I did it another way, and then we learned to accept each other. Mismatch. I love to have the windows closed and my spouse demands to have them open. We've argued over this many times. Our choice of food is also different. I like my food bland. My spouse likes sharp, spicy food. When music is playing, I like it to be soft and peaceful. My spouse likes music loud and blaring. Why did Hashem, our ultimate matchmaker, decide to put us together? Couldn't he have found someone more similar for us both? I asked my rabbi. That's exactly the point, my rabbi told me, with an understanding, hearty laugh. You are perfect for each other. This way, you both have to work on your midos, on your personalities, on your character. As you work out practical solutions in a way that is acceptable to both of you, you each build your character. More analogies with cars. Overmeeting can result in disillusionment. Ever hear a cow doing charity? Although animals and people do many similar actions, sleeping, eating, etc., one of the differences between them is that an animal only thinks about itself, while a person thinks and cares about others. Why do we praise God now at a wedding? Okay, it's a different one. Look at your spouse when she talks to you and give them your full attention. A lot of this is good advice and very simple. Sweeping problems under the rug causes people to trip, fall, and get hurt. It's only a matter of time. But you know what? You said people should be forgetting and forgiving and silencing. A mistake is only a mistake if you don't learn from it. Pick a praise. Here's all sorts of praises. You can go off the template. Maybe if you program a recorder to give your compliments for you. Well, that's about it. Look, this is the, this gives you a sense of what you need for a Orthodox wedding. The apartment, the printing the invitations, the things to bring to the wedding. This whole thing is, weddings are big, big to-dos. A newly married wife, just learning how to cook, tries very hard to prepare a tasty supper for her husband. She pores over recipes, consults with more experienced friends and relatives, and after much toil, prepares what she thinks will be a delicious meal to satisfy her spouse. The husband takes one bite and blurts out, "Oi, it's too salty or spicy. Why can't you make the fish like my mother does?" The cruel remark causes his wife much pain and is reminiscent of the complaints of the Erev Rav, which is a biblical story. We remember the fish that we ate in Egypt. Even if the husband doesn't say a word, but his dissatisfaction is written all over his face, like complainers, that is just as bad. Of course, this does not mean that a husband must swallow whatever he served. He must look for the right opportunity to tactfully and respectfully ask his wife to cook things more suited to his taste, something which she would obviously want to do. Chicken soup. Okay, last story. All of the lessons for you to take home to your marriage and make them work. One Friday afternoon, as Rav Shlomo Freifield exited the mikveh, he met a student. He exited the ritual bath, he met a student. "Tell me, Rab Shimon," said the rabbi, "how does it work tonight with a chicken soup?" "What does the rabbi mean?" asked the student. "Well, your wife serves you chicken soup, right?" "Of course." "Great. Then after she serves you, she goes back into the kitchen to get her own, right?" "Right. And because you like your chicken soup piping hot, you start to eat even before she returns to the dining room, right?" "Yes, Rabbi." "So when she comes back with her bowl, you are pretty much done, right?" "Yes, Rabbi." Rabbi Shlomo placed his hand on the other's arm and told the student, "Never again. Good Shabbos. Have a good weekend." So here's the final little from our book. Final pages. Here's the marriage education. This I scanned in from the phone book. All of the information about marriage education in the Orthodox community. So that's our book. Good luck in your relationships. Don't eat the chicken soup before she or he does.